Hey my art heathens, how's it going today? J4D3 here, and we're drawing a picture of a vampire. The Vampire Prince of Everett. Now, back in the day, my girlfriend at the time had bought me a book called Midnight Blue. And I'm blanking on the name of the author, and I'm so sorry I am, because it was such a good book. And it's all about this girl that got turned into a vampire but didn't die. And it's what the Storyteller games were based on. World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Rage. There's one about ghosts, one about wizards, and they were made by a company called White Wolf. And they even made 2 card games. The one based on the vampire one was called Jihad. And then because Muslims are crazy and a little sensitive and might fucking cut your head off if they get mad because you're disrespecting Islam, they changed the name of the game to Vampire. They also came up with another game called Werewolf Rage. And these are card games. Anyways, the role-playing game about vampires, Vampire the Masquerade, became such a big deal. They made video games about it. People will cosplay as their vampires and do live-action role-playing. And it was very dark, very gritty. It's kind of like the Vampire Lestat times 10. With all the, the cool, well, I thought it was cool counterculture with tattooed denizens of the night. And so anyways, that's why I drew this picture. When a vampire in this game takes over an area and dominates it, they become the prince of that city, and their word is law, and they keep all the other vampires and monsters basically under control. So that's kind of what's drawn here, is a vampire from one of these clans. And if anybody knows about this game, what clan do you think this vampire should be from? Because I didn't have that figured out when I drew the picture. Although I do love all the tattoos. She's got a big Egyptian ankh up on her shoulder, and then like a tribal dragon, and then the 3 of Swords, which I think is one of the coolest tarot cards ever, and Sin on the inside of her thigh there. And then, because I'm a big Rush fan, her foot has 2112 tattooed on it. And then, because my foster daughter is really getting into paganism, I added a pentacle necklace. So that's where, oh man, I think I'm getting sick. That's where this picture is originating from. It was back in the day I used to play that card game. I did have friends who played the Vampire the Masquerade game, but I never played it, because as much as I kind of wanted to, and as fun as I thought it would be, these guys were like really over the top into it. They'd like, oh man, would go to the mall dressed as the Everett Mall, by the way, where this vampire is the prince of that city, would go to the mall dressed as their vampire characters, and that was just a little too much for me. So that's why I never played the game as a role-playing game, which is kind of too bad. I mean, I bet it would be a lot of fun. And the other thing about the vampires in this game, at least from the book, they were super duper sexy. And so that's why I made this picture very cheesecakey, where the prince here is showing off her panties and has partially exposed nipples behind her raven black hair. I almost think this would have made a cool t-shirt if I kept it black and white. Maybe that's something I'll do at some point, is make some Vampire Masquerade style t-shirts. I did, back in the day, I did a bunch on Cafe Press, and I never sold any of them. They're probably still up there. I think if you typed in vampire and goth, you might see some of the t-shirts I did on Cafe Press. That was like hell. That was like 8 years ago or so. Oh, that's the new Mountain Dew. It tastes like 7-Up, but it's like super duper caffeinated 7-Up. It's awesome. As far as the color scheme goes with this, I wanted to throw in a lot of reds as the kind of like a highlight accent for blood. And then I also wanted to make the vampire look like she was like in some kind of seedy, skanked out nightclub or underground sewer lair or something like that. And so I did all her skin tones in blue. So these blues and grays. And I think it was pretty successful, especially because you can tell that it's not a black and white piece, because even though I did all her tones in blue and gray, there's still like the bright red lipsticks and the red panties that she's wearing and the red bead necklace. And then I do ice pink color on her exposed nipples. So that was where I was going with kind of like the theme for the colors here. And also the other thing I did that I thought was kind of cool is I didn't give her black pupils. I do color in her eyes, but not like a traditional color. To give her more of an inhuman, otherworldly look. So I thought it turned out pretty good. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but the other cool tattoo that I really like that I gave her is right under her chin. If you can see, that is a bird skull. And I don't know, I've just kind of thrown out some ideas. I thought things that might be iconic. So, well, alrighty, my heathens. That's all I got to say about vampires. I'm going to be doing a couple more in this series. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy this. So, peace out. J4D3 out of here, and I will talk to you, my heathens, later. Be good to each other. Peace.